G'day, welcome to this tutorial here. What we're going to be looking at is the sprite features in GameMaker. There are a lot of them, so I'm only going to cover some basic imports here. Importing from a tile strip or a tile sheet and setting up a tile set for backgrounds. Now I am using the sprite set that luciddesignart.tk has provided. It's licensed under the Open GameArt license. It's free to use. You can download it from this website. You can search for it on Open GameArt. Rogue Dungeon is its name. And these are 8x8 sprites. I'll also put the link in the description below. Now in GameMaker, I've already created a sprite called SPR Enemy. And I just want to go into this here to show you a little bit about what we're going to be talking about in a minute. So if I zoom in on this, the enemy object that I want to get is this one right here. Now he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now he's a bit bigger than what the description says. And this was confusing me before because this guy is as well 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're not all 8 by 8. Some of them are a bit larger. However, this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, he is 8 by 8. So we're going to grab this one, not the larger one. I'm not sure why there's two different versions of them. They're not animated in any way. Okay, so we're not going to worry about animation. Instead, we're just going to grab the 8 by 8 versions. Now, some of these are 7 by 7 or 8 by 7, but that's because you can see like the wizard staff is a bit taller. So I am just going to focus on the 8 by 8 ones. So what I want to get is this one right here. But I need to know a few things before I get started. All of these here have a gap of 1 pixel between each of them. You can see if I go down to these here, there is a 1 pixel gap there. I'll draw it in bright pink. There's a 1 pixel gap there. There's a 1 pixel gap there. There is also a 1 pixel gap between each of these. But it can be a little bit fiddly, and this sprite sheet doesn't look like it's laid out perfectly 8 by 8. So just keep in mind, there's a 1 gap between, and there's also a gap of 2 pixels from the left-hand side. Now, what I'm going to do is when I create my sprite, and I go edit sprite, that won't be there. Instead, what I want to do is create from a strip. And I'm going to select my Rogue Dungeon sprites here and click open. And you can see they are very, very small. I'm going to have 1 image for this one and 1 image per row. The image size is going to be 8 by 8. And then that should be 0 already. I'm going to make sure that the horizontal pixel offset from the left side of the screen is 2 pixels. I don't know what it's going to be from the top, but I'm going to make sure it's 2 from the left. And then in here, I'm going to change the horizontal cell offset. Now I can use a magnifier for this, but it's a little bit odd. So if I go magnifier, whoa. All right, so horizontal offset. We're looking to get this little square here to be over this one here. So it looks like it's 1, 2, 3 across. So I've got that right there. And then it's not 8 down, it's not 7 down, it's not 6 down. It looks like it's about 5 down, or 4 down. And we need to make sure that we have a vertical pixel offset, in this case, of 1. Now when I click OK, that is going to set my sprite up here. Now this is way too small, absolutely insanely too small. Instead, I am going to resize this by going transform and stretch. Now resize canvas doesn't do anything. All it does is actually resize the canvas, and my little guy will still be this size in the middle of a gigantic canvas. Instead, I want to turn on stretch. I'll just turn this magnifier off now. So when I turn on stretch, the option has disappeared behind something else at the moment, and I can't actually see it. There we go. So when I turn on stretch, I want to stretch this by about 400%. So it's 32 by 32. The quality, however, you might think click excellent, but what excellent does is make it, well, it doesn't actually do anything wrong here. At times, depending on what you're transforming, and resizing using stretch. Excellent quality can make it kind of blurry. It tries to blend things together. So for pixel art like this, I'm going to actually do it at poor quality. And, oops, I forgot to type 400 here. At poor quality, click OK, and then I've got my little guy here. I'm just going to go into this image, and what I want to do is remove the background color. So I can go transform or image and erase a color. It should automatically pick up what the background color is, but if not, you can just click on the picture and then I'll click OK. So it gets rid of that background color. The checkerboard pattern means that it's transparent. So I'll click OK, click the tick, and I'm going to leave the origin up in the top left corner. So I'm going to call this Sprite Orc King. Now for my player, I'm going to do something very similar. SPR player archer. And I'm going to load a sprite. I'm not going to load a sprite. I'm going to edit a sprite, create from strip, and then I'm going to get this in the right location. Now this is quite tricky. I can do it with my mouse. And for really small art like this, I might decide, well, I'm actually going to do it at 12 by 12 for the size. Roughly position it around where I want. There's my archer. Click OK. And then transform stretch by 400, poor quality. I'll edit this image and I'll just go in and I'll erase the stuff that I don't actually want. Now I can probably be easier to draw a box over this here and get rid of that. Then use the wand tool, which is, I think it's this one. Pick a color from the image. No, there was a wand tool. Seems to have gone. Oh, sorry, of course. Erase a color. I will erase white from the image. And then I can go transform trim, and it will trim it down to that size. Now this here is going to be the wrong size because you can see that if I go transform stretch, it's 32 by 28. What I want to do is resize the canvas, not keeping the aspect ratio to 32, and set the bottom to be the anchor. So it's going to add a bit more extra space to the top there. So there's my little guy set up. He's my sprite player archer. Now I could do that, and I'm going to do that for quite a few other enemies and so on. But up here, I'm also going to add in a background. So I'm going to create a background, and this is going to be called BG tile set. I'm going to load a background here. The background I'm going to load is going to be in my downloads folder, which should be here. Downloads, and it is Rogue Dungeon, and it is this one. So this is a tile set. I'm actually going to edit this background first, transform, stretch it by 400, making sure I keep that aspect ratio so it stays the same shape as it goes upwards. So that's all good. That's what I want. I'm going to click Use as Tile Set. Now each of these tiles is going to be 32 by 32. They were originally 8 by 8. They're now 32 by 32. The offset from the left side should be 4. And the offset from the top, I'm not sure. It might be 16. Yeah. No, it's not. Yes, it is. But there's also a space between each sprite. It's 4 and also 4 going down, which means I might need to bring this back to 8 or 12. No, 14. I'll get it right eventually. 10, 8, 4. Okay, that took a while. Oh, of course, 4 and 4, 4 and 4. It was originally 1 and 1, and I made it larger. So now these are tiles that I can use when building a room. So I'm going to click OK. And just to demonstrate how these work, I will need to do one more thing. Edit that background image, erase a color, get rid of that white color behind it, and click OK. And now I'll go into my room. Now this room has a tile, a snapping of 32 by 32. I'll turn the grid off, but I can see that these are 32 by 32 here. I go to tiles and I select my tile set. Now what I can do is I can use these tiles here to design a level. If I hold down Shift, I can kind of drag quite a few of them out. And this is not going to allow for any interaction. All it is a background. I'm essentially creating a little backdrop. I can put things over the top of that, and that's what I'll do in the tutorial. So I can put a tree here. Things like this, if I put that down, it's not going to let me. Used to in the old version of GameMaker, and then it would delete the stuff underneath, but now it doesn't. If I click here and drag it in, it does, but it deletes underlying. So what you need to do is you need to kind of plan this a little bit and think about, okay, what's the backdrop going to be? Well, it might be all grass here. Okay, it might all be grass. Then I'll make a new layer. And in this here, once again, the lower the number, the higher it is. So I'm just going to make this 100. Layer 1 million is a bit ridiculous. You've got to type loads of zeros in whenever you want to change it. Depth 100 is fine. So I can now put these on depth 100. So I can put some trees on there. Unfortunately, I can't kind of stack these together. I could put some barrels here and so on. Maybe some walls up here. Okay, and I can design a level using these things here. Now I might add another layer. This is going to be 99, and I can put a door on top of that and some cracks on top of those things there. So this is how we use those tiles. However, if I was to have something in the room, it's just essentially a backdrop, and until I actually put in things to interact with, then it's not going to be really useful. But that's how we import a basic tile sheet or a basic sprite from a tile sheet. I'm not going to cover animation. I think that learning, you should focus on simple gameplay and use some neat little tile sheets that don't actually need animation on them. Once you get into animation, it's very complicated. Suddenly you have 4 or 5, 4, 8, 360 different directions that you've got to deal with, and it gets quite complicated. So I'm going to keep it really simple here. And when I move on to the next video, I'm going to start on a little top-down adventure game.